Good morning, good morning. Happy New Year, everyone. It's good to be back to this podcast, the Aurum podcast, where we help companies and organizations maintain a healthy workplace environment. My name is Anthony Kuria, and I'm so happy to be here today. And I'm your host. With me on panel is my colleague, Zipporah Kuria, a HR expert. Good morning, Zippy.
Good morning, Anthony, and Happy New Year to our viewers this morning.
Yes, it's a happy new year 2021. And, we are so glad to be alive. We thank God that, the holidays went past and we came to the new year 2021, with all the energies and the freshness that a new year brings. Listeners, we are Aurum Consultants, and we are a HR and risk advisory firm that supports businesses to maintain right structures, to support a right, healthy working environment. And today, we want to focus on starting the year right, setting the right tone and pace for your team. Now, Zippy, tell me, what does it mean to set the right tone and pace? Just discussing.
I think basically in a nutshell, that would mean just showing the way. The way marathoners set a pace, or pace setters set the pace for marathoners. Is like setting that pace for your business and showing your team what kind of a pace they need to take and where we are going and how to do it.
I like that marathon analogy, knowing that we here in Kenya, we are globally well known for issues of marathon and long distance running. That indeed a year is like a marathon where uh, you're starting the year, you don't know how you will end, but you know the end, there will be an end at some point, several kilometers, several months away, and you have a pace setter. The pace setter in this case, we are discussing about the team leader. It could be the CEO, could be the head of a department, it could be the GM of a company. That you, as in whatever, even it could be you as an individual. You don't have to be set the pace for. You as an individual, as an employee, could decide to set the pace for yourself. You aim, you have your own personal individual goals, you have your team goals, and setting the pace right for yourself, knowing how to pace yourself as you go is key. And that's what we want to discuss today. But as you set a pace and think about the marathon ahead, it's good to think about where you've come from. So if I would ask Zippy, 2020 wasn't an easy year for most businesses. Is that correct?
True. 2020 was a very challenging year for most businesses. I think it was more or less of a unique year where most of us had not gone through such challenges before. Most of us were caught unawares and prepared on some of the business challenges that we faced. But I always say it's not about whether you fall down, it's about how you pick yourself up and keep going. So, in as much as we are coming from a really challenging season, doesn't mean that we stay there. We need to pick up the pieces and we need to move forward. And the question is, how do we move forward? Are we going to be slowed down by the things that happened last year, or are we going to pick up and move on, knowing that there are greater things ahead of us? I always say where there are challenges, there are always opportunities. So the question is, what opportunities are there for us, and how are we maximizing on those opportunities?
Uh-huh. So when we look at 2020, because I'm sure at the beginning of 2020, most of us also, paced ourselves. We didn't know that the situation with the global pandemic would hit us. We did not know how it will come to hit us, but somehow we had our plans. We had put ourselves our goals and all that, and then we found ourselves in the midst of a quagmire where we don't know you don't know whether you lose your customers tomorrow. You don't know whether you'll be able to have sales coming in. You don't know whether your customers will still be dealing with you. So how do we as business leaders make a good start for the year?
Let me first start by saying that what happened in 2020 when this pandemic happened, most of us went actually on a survival mode. And like I've said earlier, we don't have to be stuck there. We need to pick up the pieces and start this year stronger and work based on the plans that you are putting forward. So the question is, where do we start? As a leader of your business, you set the tone of the business. You are like a rabbit. So you set the pace. So once you set the pace and your team understands this is where you are going, then it becomes easier for your team to start picking the pieces and move forward with you. We have to remember again, our teams were affected emotionally, physically, financially. Last year was very tiring. And if we are not careful, then we can carry over that to this year. So we need to set the tone. We need to show our team leaders this is where we are going. We need to show our staff this is where we are going and this is how we intend to get there. Because if we don't do that, if we don't set the pace as business leaders, then it will be a bit of a challenge for our team members to pick up the pieces and also start working with us. So it's very critical for us to say, yes, this is the way we are moving forward. This is a plan we have for business recovery. These are the strategies we are putting in place. And this is your place as an employee to help us recover the business.
Wow. You've actually reminded me of something that we were going through as Aurum, I remember last year, in enabling businesses to cope with with all the shaking that took place. And one of the things that we did to help businesses was to optimize their human resource functions in issues, for example, getting, defining the clear roles and responsibilities of staff, that is, having clear JDs, and also helping businesses streamline the reporting chains, the reporting chain that is there. So if we were to use that example, can you think of any specific examples which you encountered last year on helping businesses, maintain the momentum in spite of what took place in terms of disruption?
Of course, there was a lot of clients that we had to work with to just reorganize the way we were doing things. When the pandemic happened, most of us had to send staff home, yet at the same time, we had to keep business going. So there was a lot of reorganization on who was doing what and where and at what point. And in terms of even remuneration, because our incomes were affected. So we had to do a lot of restructuring to just help businesses cope with the pandemic and yet maintain the business and survive during that pandemic. So that is one of the things that we actually did to help some of the businesses, reorganizing even in terms of job descriptions, in terms of how the contractual documentation was looking like. It was a bit of a challenge for most of us because, again, these were not even things that were anticipated in the law. They are not in the law. So we had to think out of the box and see then how do we cover ourselves and ensure the employer and the employee are well taken care of.
Mm. Yeah, thank you, thank you. You've actually also added something that I was thinking about. That when it comes to issues to dealing with, reorganizing the business as a person, shifting employees from one place to another or having to declare some redundant, there are certain risk analogies that come in. Are you following the proper procedure when it comes to termination, when it comes to the paying of the last dues, how you are setting up your contracts? It's both a HR and a risk issue, where as an employer, you've got to be very careful to make sure that you're abiding by the law, while at the same time helping your business shift itself to be able to survive and pivot, really. So that's something that in 2021, most business people will need to look at. That even as we continue looking for ways to make money, looking for ways to readjust, to pivot, to stabilize and to keep going, you've got to also look and make sure that you're abiding by the laws of labor laws that are set, and making sure that you're also covering your business, ensuring that you're also protecting your business from certain risks. Now, let me ask you another question, something that has come into my mind. Most of us set New Year resolutions, goals. As business leaders, should we be doing this for our companies And how should we be going about it?
Let me first say, if you don't set yourself for success, you set yourself up for failure. Okay. So setting goals actually is something that we need to do every other time in our lives, whether it's for our personal lives, whether it is for the workplace. We need to have objectives of what we want to achieve. From an individual perspective, most of us set goals, and most of us follow through and make sure we achieve those goals. But also a big chunk of us don't follow through with our goals. Yes, it's a new year, we set the goals, but we actually do nothing about it. But when it comes to the organization, it's very critical for us to actually set goals. But that is not even where we start. One of the challenging things that I've noticed with most businesses, especially SMEs, you find your employees or your team members don't understand the reason for your existence. So we need to look at the
Uh-huh.
first. Let's look at what is our mission. What is the reason for our existence as a business?
Mm,
Why are we
true.
here? Are we helping our team members understand why we are here? Are we helping them understand where we are going and how we are going there? Or have we
Yes.
come up with a mission and we have put it in paper and is getting dust in the shelves and we don't actually understand where we are going? Sometimes as business people, we also, I think, get in the mix up and get confused because we are not living our mission. So I think as
Mm,
business leaders, we need to go fast, back fast, and evaluate and say, this is our mission. This is the reason for our existence, and help our team members understand that. Now, once we understand why we exist and how we want to what we want to do to get where we are going, then it will help our team members to actually align themselves. I found it very unfortunate that sometimes employees will probably just work to earn a paycheck and to make a living. And sometimes this comes from a place of there's no clear direction from business leaders or
mm,
from senior managers, and it brings in a lot of confusion. So what
that-
happens? We do what we need to do to survive as employees. So it's very
that's
important for us to go first to the basics, redefine what our missions is, redefine what is the reason we are here as a business, and help our teams understand that. Okay. And once we
true.
get to that point, then we can start saying, okay, now we need to look at setting our goals.
Hmm. That's a very powerful point. I think for most of us who are in business, yeah, most of us who are doing business out there, yes, we prepared a mission and vision, and I see some companies even put it on the wall somewhere, and you walk to, like, I know banks, some banks, you'll see the mission, you'll even see pictorials, big vision, mission, and this is what we exist to do, blah blah blah. And I'm not going to criticize any one of them, because for you to have reached a place where you are putting that, then it means that's something that you're reminding your teams on. But for most of us, reminding ourselves, why do we exist as a company? What is it that we're existing? Are we just existing to make money? And if we're existing to make money, then are we providing this value in the market to be able to bring that money coming in? And when it now comes to reminding the teams, because yes, at the board level, at the MD's office, that could be the case. But is your team on the ground aware that this is why you exist? If I could ask Zippy on that point, how then does a team leader go about reminding his or her team, this is why we exist, this is our mission? Do we do it annually at the beginning of the year? Do we do it quarterly? Do we organize regular activities like field trips and all those kind of things to keep reminding people why we exist? What do you think?
I think the first place to start would be first make it a habit to have regular staff meetings. And even when we have these staff meetings, remind the teams the reason why we are here. Train your teams about your mission, your vision, your values, and create that culture of your teams understanding the reason for your existence. I always say if your teams don't
Yeah.
understand why you exist, then really you're number one, you're confusing them, and even for them, they end up getting lost in the process. So let's make it a habit of reminding them so often. Yeah, I think that is very critical in any business setup. I
Yes.
keep on looking at our own teams, and every time we have an opportunity to have, a meeting with our teams, we have to keep on reminding them, this is our plan, this is where we are going, and this is how we plan to go there, so that they become part of the process. It's not a process that is just driven by the executives on top there, but it's a process that I think is something that we need on board. We help everyone understand this is what we are doing and this is your role to play. It's like looking at a big puzzle. Everyone, is a piece of that puzzle, and they need to figure out,
Yes.
how do I fit in this big puzzle so that we can make the whole thing complete.
Hmm. That is very good. I like the way you've used the example of Aurum, in that, it's very important as we preach, we also preach to ourselves, as in, what are we doing? Where are we going? What are we planning? And and keeping your teams engaged as to why we wake up every morning to go to work. Now, let's talk about setting goals for our teams. Now, is it what do you think? Do you put a goal for the entire team and then you break them down to departments? How do you go about setting goals for our teams?
Um, Let me start by saying that I've noticed with a lot of SMEs that sometimes we expect a lot from our teams, yet we don't set goals for them.
Mhm.
We don't just go and tell them this is what you need to do. Remember, I said we need to make everyone feel part of the whole process. Okay.
Mm.
So in terms of setting goals, we need to start by setting the organization goals, or what we call objectives. We need to make our teams understand these are our objectives for this year or for this quarter or for the next few months, depending on how you want to break it down. So you can begin by saying these are our objectives for the year. Then you break them down to smaller objectives. Then
Sure.
once you set those objectives, then you move down to the departmental level. It's like looking at a pyramid. So you move
Mhm.
down to the departmental level where you ask the departments to set their own goals depending on the organization goals. Because you have to look at it from a place where the department is going to do whatever they need to do to achieve the overall objective of the business. So once
Sure.
you break it down to the department objectives, then as a team, they sit down and say, this is our role in helping the organization achieve its objective and eventually achieve its mission. So once they come up with whatever goals they want to set for the year and break it down to smaller goals, then
Mhm.
at that point, you cascade it down to now the actual employees and say, as an
Mhm.
employee, what is my role in helping my department achieve its objective? Because what
Mhm.
I do and the other person does, all of us together will help our department achieve, and the department will be helping the overall objective of the business. So that is how we look at it when we are setting goals. But most of the times we want to leave it to the employees and we don't tell them this is how you set goals. I've
Mhm.
seen beginning of the year is a time when we say this is the time we set the pace for performance management. How
Sure.
do we set that pace if we don't set the goals properly as an organization? So as executives, we need to first evaluate how we are doing this and do it right, then help our team set it right. Because remember, I said we are the pace setters, and the
Mhm.
pace we set will actually determine or will actually dictate how far our employees will go. So let's inculcate that behavior of we set the goals, we help our teams understand, then we help them set their own goals, and now probably start now thinking about how do we measure these objectives then.
Uh-huh. Yes, you've actually reminded me of a past place where I used to work in one of the major banks. And I remember every year we would get, as a department, as a branch, as a department within a branch, you'd get your targets. This is the match that we are looking in terms of income. This is the amount that this department, if it is cash, you're supposed to be generating this amount of volume of transactions. And if it is a different department, say credit, same thing. So bringing it now to the SME space, every business, as you've said, needs to set goals in terms of this is what we want to achieve in this particular year. And then now communicate the same clearly to your staff. And then tell them now, this is the overall objective. Your department, this is how we need to break it down to every department if you have departments, and give them clear guidelines as to how what the target is and to how they will be able to achieve it. And obviously listen to feedback. Do you think about when we're setting goals for our teams, how important is feedback from your staff?
I think feedback is very critical.
Mhm.
Again, if you become a kind of a leader who doesn't like feedback, whether negative or positive, then you will never know where you're going wrong. So it's important for us to be open to feedback. Now, when we are setting the business objectives, we need to make sure we're including our teams. Inclusivity is very important. And this will help us actually get feedback from our teams. Maybe sometimes we are looking at it from the wrong way, in the wrong way. We don't have all the cards. Sometimes we have employees who are actually brighter than we are. And I think that's why we engage team members, because we cannot be able to do everything. So it's important to allow our teams to give us feedback, to give us ideas, and actually put those ideas into consideration, even when we're making these decisions on where we want to take the business. Okay. If we don't allow ourselves to do that, then becomes a bit of a challenge, because then we start having resistance from the team members. I've obviously encountered situations where you find organizations into management, okay? But where does performance management begin, okay? If we don't have clear business objectives that are clearly known to the employees, that are created not once, not twice, but it's become the norm, it's become the culture of the organization. If we try to bring performance management somewhere in between, and you start finding that we have resistance from staff. So it's important for us to set objectives, but at the same time, allow feedback from our team members, allow them to give us ideas of this is what we think we should be doing to achieve this. Then we will see how we'll be able to move forward as a team.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, folks, today we were discussing issues regarding starting the year right. And starting the year right means, from a business perspective, it means setting the goals right, getting understanding where you've come from, what was it that you did in the previous year, the previous business quarter, what is it that you need to do to give a good start for the year. Then issues of resolutions and goals. Yeah, you've got to have a clear direction, because if you don't know where you're going as a team leader, then where are you leading your team? Then obviously setting goals with the team, seeing where they're supposed to be going, deciding, listening to feedback, and at the end of the day, implementing and setting the pace. Because as a leader, everybody looks at you. If you are slow, everybody will become slow. If you are fast, then they will run with you. If you are too fast, they'll tell you, boss, can we catch a break? But all the same, starting everything right. That is what is most important. It does not matter the environment. Yes, we believe that 2021, whatever happens, businesses have to survive, people have to work, and all that. So, Zippy, do you have a final word as we come to the close of our podcast today?
Of course, I do have a final word, and I think what I would say is, as team leaders, let's set the pace. We always say, if you don't set the pace, employees will not do anything. Okay, they will only do as much as you're doing. It's mangi see mangi do. The same way we behave with children. When you tell a child to do something, they will not do because you have said. They will do because they are seeing you doing the same thing. And again, it's interesting because this is the same analogy or the same situation we find ourselves in the work environment. So as a business leader, you will find what you're doing is what your employees do. If you're the kind of a leader who will come in the morning and you don't talk to your team members, you will start realizing shortly they're also not talking to each other, because it's a culture that they are picking from the top. And I know there's always this debate of where does culture begin? Is it the top? Is it the employees? Where is culture, anchored? So at the end of the day, as leaders, I think we need to set the right pace. So let me say this, make sure your team is clear and has a way of understanding your goals, your mission, and where you're going. Once you do that, then they will understand what it is that they need to do and what their place is. Also, make sure your team understands they are important in making sure your mission is fulfilled. If your team members understand that, then they will be able to buy into that mission. But again, I will not peg this only to the employers. I will also say this to the employees. If your employer or your business leader has given you the direction the business is going, don't just sit back and do nothing about it. Be proactive. Be the kind of an employee who wants to do whatever it needs to take to help fulfill that mission. Don't just come to do a job that will earn your paycheck. At the end of the day, I think you need to be fulfilling a purpose. This is a vehicle to help you fulfill a purpose. God has placed you here. So what are you doing in employer achieve that mission? Are you doing the right thing, or are you just getting by every day? So I think this is a collective responsibility. So we set the goals, and that is one part of it. But getting those goals fulfilled requires the effort of everyone, from the executive to the employee to everyone involved in the organization.
That is very true. For those of us listening, for our listeners, if you're employed somewhere, I would like to encourage you, take the initiative. Take the initiative, learn the company mission and vision. Yeah, understand what is it that it exists to do. Show your desire and ambition by getting stuck in. Getting stuck in understanding. Okay, my department is what we need to do. Set the pace. If your boss is a pace setter, collaborate with him or her. If not, show your initiative. Do it. I remember one case a while back, and I remember. In fact, I even saw him on the newspapers this week. I think it was Business Daily, either yesterday or Thursday or Nation. I don't know. And that guy joined the workplace as a cleaner. That was like how many? 11 years. No, yeah, 11 years ago. He joined as a cleaner, somebody to mop. Today, as we're speaking, he's the head of treasury in some big corporation. And it was just that way, wanting to know what is it that I can do? What is it that I can do? And his bosses were so impressed that when openings would come, they would recommend him. And that way he climbed. Within a few years, he was an assistant manager. Kidogo, he became a senior executive within a space of several years. Why? Because every time the issue of starting right, the issue of doing things right. I remember we used to joke and talk with him every year to Kianza. And he'd tell me, Tony, this year, man, this is the year, this is the year. I'll tell him, this is the year, Kila Mwaka, this is the year. But now, this is the year for him. He's up there, and you can take the same positivity and energy into your business and focus on whether you're employed, whether you're a boss, whether you're an employee, bring that vitality, that energy, that zest, that innovation to your workplace. And this is the time to bring that into the workplace. This is the time to wake up and set your own personal goals. If you are leading a team, set a goals for them, even after you've been given goals by your superiors and you have a team under you. Give them the goals that they will achieve. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to work because of a paycheck, even if you're being paid 1,000,000 shillings a month, you will get tired. Yeah, you'll decide, you know what, I think I can do farming or something else if there is no purpose or direction. So with that, I think we will say we have come to the end of our podcast. I mean, we believe that we have given the theme for the year, starting it right. It doesn't matter what 2020 brought. That was it. It is in the past. Now we are looking forward to 2021, irrespective of the global environment, irrespective of what is happening, vaccination and all that. Focus, focus, focus. And as Zippy has said, take the initiative and get it right. So we are very happy to have done this podcast with you today. We are looking forward to engaging with our listeners more and more. We are looking forward to listening, to hearing from you. Please keep sending your comments. Thank you, Shali Nyamori, saying that it is very important for everyone to understand what the big picture. Thank you very much for those comments. We are looking forward to 2021. God is with us. He's always guiding people, his people. If you call upon him, he'll always help you. And we here at Aurum Consultants, we are ready to work with you in this journey to make sure that you have a thriving workplace environment where you as a team, your company, your organization achieves its maximum potential. So, with those few remarks, we hope to see you next week, same time, same place. God bless you.